Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking through some player props I like on Prizepicks for the Week 2 NFL slate. We do have a full Sunday slate of games coming up, and I wanted to share some props that I like for this slate. Got 3 picks that we're going to give out in this video. Normally for the full Sunday slates, I usually try to give out 3 picks at least, sometimes maybe more though. I do always provide more Prizepicks plays over on Patreon, so if you guys want access to any additional plays that I'm on, I'll probably post like 4 or 5 more plays over on Patreon Sunday morning. You can check those out if you are interested. You can also get access to all of my DFS content that is posted on Patreon. But before we get started talking through our plays for today, guys, we'll recap our plays that we gave out in our Week 1 video. And man, Week 1 did not treat us well. The start of the NFL season has not gone the way that I would like. I was really excited for NFL, and it's definitely, at least for me, it's been a big disappointment so far, DFS and Prizepicks. We gave out 3 picks in our Week 1 video. We only hit one of our 3 picks. We went 1 and 2. We did cash on Miles Sanders, his over receiving yard, or his over on rushing yards. We took that, I think, at 47.5, and Sanders had a really good game on the ground. I think he finished with like 90 rushing yards, went way over his projection. But the 2 plays that missed were Kyler Murray. We took his over in fantasy points, and he came up just short. I thought he was going to maybe get there in garbage time late in that game against the Chiefs, but he finished with, I believe, like 20.2 or 20 point something, just over 20 fantasy points. Came up just short because we needed 22 from Kyler Murray. And then the other play that we took was Kyle Pitts. We took his over fantasy score. And Kyle Pitts got the volume like I thought he would. He got 7 targets, which was tied for the team high. But he only turned those into 2 catches for 19 yards. So really, really annoying that Kyle Pitts got 7 targets and finished with less than 4 fantasy points. But the volume was there, the playing time was there, like I thought it would be. Just one of those weeks where Kyle Pitts just couldn't convert those targets. I'm sure Kyle Pitts is going to have some big weeks, rest of the season. Unfortunately, though, Week 1 was obviously not that week. But yeah, guys, we got 3 picks to talk about for this video. Real quickly, again, hit that like button if you guys have not yet. Hit that subscribe button if you are new here. And also, if you have not checked out Prizepicks yet, you can check them out. Sign up with my promo code. When you do sign up for Prizepicks with promo code NOAH, they will match your first deposit up to $100. And for any of you guys that are new here, Prizepicks is a player prop-based DFS site. So you're just picking over or under, more or less on a player's projection. Prizepicks offers a ton of projections and a ton of different sports. On Prizepicks, you can mix and match sports as well. So you can do a 4-pick entry with 2 college football picks and like 2 NFL picks, or 3 NFL picks and a WNBA pick. I mean, Prizepicks offers every sport imaginable. They offer a ton of props in every sport category, like in every category. You can see all that they offer for NFL. And at the time I'm making this video on Friday night, this is not their full board. I'm sure they're probably going to add even more props as we get closer to the start of the games on Sunday. So you guys definitely need to be playing on Prizepicks. Obviously, we're going to be talking Prizepicks all NFL season. Make sure to sign up with promo code NOAH. Get that deposit bonus when you do sign up. But let's talk through the plays I like for Sunday slate, guys. I got 3 picks I'm going to share in this video. All 3 picks I like for today's video are going to come in the afternoon games. So nothing that I see that I'm loving in the 1 o'clock games, but I'm sure I'll take a look at the board once again on Sunday. Any plays I find that I like, any more plays I find that I like, I do share those over on Patreon. If you guys want access to all my Patreon content, all of my DFS content, get in our Discord chat, that is all available for Patreon members. It is linked down below in the description. Check that out if you are interested. But the first play that I like for today's video that we're going to give out is a fantasy score. I got 2 fantasy scores that I'm liking, and then I have a receiver prop that I like. So for fantasy score, we're going to be going to Trey Lance. And I like Trey Lance to bounce back this week. Playing at home against Seattle, I like him to have more than 18.5 fantasy points. Now, Trey Lance was obviously a big disappointment last week. He finished with just over 10 fantasy points. But I don't want to look too much into that game last week against the Bears, because if you were watching, that game had terrible, terrible weather. They were playing like in a monsoon. The field was soaking wet. I don't think Lance threw the ball a ton last week. He did run the ball a ton, which is something that we'll talk about. Trey Lance does offer a ton of rushing upside, but he only threw the ball 28 times. He had 13 completions for 164 yards, but he did have 13 carries for 54 yards. And Trey Lance is a very mobile quarterback. He's one of the best rushing quarterbacks in the league. And anytime you can get quarterbacks that can run, that just makes their ceiling for fantasy just so much higher. Especially a guy like Lance, who is kind of like a guy that they'll use near the goal line. Like anytime they get near the goal line, there's always a chance that they run like a read option, and Trey Lance can get a rushing touchdown. But I like this matchup for him against Seattle. I'm not really worried about Seattle's defense or their secondary. And I think with Seattle having that big emotional win on Monday night against the Broncos, like this is a big letdown spot for Seattle. I could definitely see Seattle coming out here and really laying an egg, and the 49ers rough up on them. I think right now the 49ers are favored by like almost double digits in this game. So I like this spot a lot for Trey Lance. I like him to bounce back this week. I like the matchup as well. I think, with that terrible weather last week, like we really can't look too much into his performance. I know he didn't play that well, but the weather definitely had a big impact. Now, I will mention that for this week, the weather's not good either. I mean, it is going to be raining again for the 49ers game. Right now, it looks like there's a 90% chance of rain from like 2 to 8 p.m., so it's going to be raining in San Fran this week, but I don't know if it's going to be as bad as it was in Chicago last week. So hopefully, the field should be able to hold up. Even though they're going to be playing in some rain, I don't think it's going to have like too much of an effect on the quarterback play. And I think Trey Lance is going to bounce back here. Also, another thing that I like is that, or at least another thing that I think benefits Trey Lance is that San Fran, they are a team that wants to run the ball as much as possible. They're a very run-heavy team, but they are going to be missing their starting running back here. Elijah Mitchell is out for this game, so without Eli Mitchell, with Jeff Wilson now their starting running back. I mean, Jeff Wilson has shown that he can produce when given opportunity. But maybe we see San Fran, rely a little bit more on Trey Lance here. Without Eli Mitchell, maybe we see them let Trey Lance throw the ball a little bit more. Maybe we see them let Trey Lance run the ball a little bit more. We know Lance always has that rushing upside, so I like him to have a bounce back week this week. I like him to score more than 18.5 fantasy points. Banking on that rushing upside is something I'm definitely going to be doing here. It was great to see him have 13 rushing attempts in week 1. Hopefully he can have a similar type of volume game here. If he can have even a remotely good game through the air, like maybe just 150 yards and a passing touchdown, that might be all that he needs, because we know he's going to get you some points through the ground. But that's the first play I like for today, is going to be Trey Lance to have more than 18.5 fantasy points. Next play that I like is going to be a receiving prop, and we're actually going to go to a running back here. I like Darrell Henderson to have more than 17.5 receiving yards. I think it's a really good matchup here for the Rams. I think this is definitely a big bounce back spot for the Rams as well. Obviously, the Rams were, they got kind of beat up bad in that game against the Bills on Thursday night. But now they get to go home and face the Falcons here in a really good spot. The Falcons defense is obviously not the one that we need to fear. The Falcons are probably going to have one of the worst defenses in the league by the time the season's over with. And one thing that I love to see is that Darrell Henderson was used like heavily in their week 1 win. They barely involved Cam Akers. So Darrell Henderson played 55 snaps in week 1, which I believe was like over 80%. I think he played over 80% of snaps. I'm going to pull it up real quick on my other monitor. Darrell Henderson played 55 snaps, which was 82% of the snaps. Cam Akers only played 12 snaps, so he played the other 18%. So they really involved Darrell Henderson in week 1. Cam Akers was barely involved, and Cam Akers, he's been dealing with that Achilles injury. He played last season in the playoffs, but he wasn't really efficient. He just didn't look healthy. It seems like heading into this season that Darrell Henderson is going to be the clear lead back for the Rams, and Cam Akers is just kind of going to be like a secondary option. I don't know if Akers is really going to be involved much at all. I think they're going to play Henderson as much as he can possibly be out there, and he's a guy that gets really good usage in the passing game. In week 1, Darrell Henderson did see 5 targets. He got 5 receptions for 26 yards. He's always been heavily involved in the passing game, and I think now that he's going to be seeing more playing time, especially with how week 1 went, with how little Cam Akers was involved, I think that's great for Darrell Henderson. I think Henderson's going to be on the field a ton. He also ran a ton of routes in week 1. So Darrell Henderson played 55 snaps, and he ran 40 routes. So I believe he got 13 carries. So basically when he wasn't carrying the ball, he was running routes, and that's what we want. Obviously, we want Henderson out there running routes. We don't want him blocking. We need him catching balls, and he saw 5 targets in week 1, had 26 receiving yards. I mean, 18 yards is something that he could get like in one play. I mean, he could just get a screenplay with good blocking, and he could get 18 yards in one play. But just dating back to even like looking at last season when Henderson, looking at his game log last season, there were multiple games where he went over 18 receiving yards. I think he averaged close to 4 targets per game last year, and that was with Cam Akers, getting some good involvement. Given that Cam Akers only played on 18% of the snaps in week 1, I think this is clearly Darrell Henderson's backfield. I think Henderson's going to be kind of a workhorse back, at least kind of early on in the season. We'll see. Maybe they involve Akers later on down the line, but I think right now it's Henderson's backfield, and I like his chances to get 18 receiving yards. Really, if he catches a couple balls, that's probably going to be all that he needs. Assuming he gets averages like 6 yards per reception or something, which is definitely doable for a running back. Especially like if he gets a screenplay and has good blocking, I mean, that could be an easy 10, 12 yards. And again, like he could possibly go over this line in literally one catch. So that's the second play that I like for today is going to be Darrell Henderson to have more than 17.5 receiving yards. And then the final play that I like is going to be another fantasy score prop. And I was actually on this guy's fantasy score last week, and he came through for me. And I'm going to be going right back to it. I think this line is once again too low, and that's going to be James Conner. We're going to be taking James Conner to have more than 16.5 fantasy points. James Conner, he was heavily involved as well in week 1. He kind of had like a workhorse type role. He played on a good amount of snaps, and even looking at last week, looking at Conner's snap share, he played over 70% of the snaps, and that was with the Cardinals getting blown out. I mean, they got the crap beat out of them by Kansas City. A lot of the starters didn't even play in the fourth quarter, and I was watching that game. I watched most of the game kind of from start to finish, and literally, I swear from the first quarter to the third quarter, I swear Conner was on the field for literally like every snap. He barely came off the field, but he didn't get much playing time in the fourth quarter because it was a blowout. Benjamin played a ton in the fourth quarter, but Conner played 72% of the snaps, even factoring in the blowout. He saw good volume as well. He got 10 carries. He wasn't super efficient on the ground, but he did get 10 carries, and he did get some good involvement in the passing game. 10 carries for 26 yards. He also had 6 targets, 5 catches for 29 yards. He did get a rushing touchdown. He did, get a touchdown near the goal line. We know Conner, anytime the Cardinals get near the goal line, Conner is always a threat to punch it in. He's a guy that will involve a ton in the passing game. So even if game script goes south, and even if the Cardinals get behind again like they were in week 1, they're going to involve Conner in the passing game. He's going to get dump offs. He got 5 catches in week 1. This is a really good matchup against the Raiders. This is definitely one of the best game environments of the week. Right now, this Raiders-Cardinals game, I believe, has the highest total of all these Sunday games. It has the highest total out of every Sunday game on the board. So I think it's a game that definitely has some shootout potential. I would expect the Cardinals to not get blown out again. I mean, anytime an NFL team gets blown out, unless it's like the Jets or something, it's usually an outlier. Usually, you can't expect NFL teams to get blown out. I mean, it's rare that an NFL team doesn't have, it's rare that a team sits their starters in the fourth quarter because of blowout. That doesn't happen too often. So Conner should be out there for for the full 4 quarters this week. And he should get a ton of volume. He was great in the touches that he got. He wasn't super efficient on the ground, but the volume was there. The opportunity in the passing game was there. With Prizepicks, with their scoring being full PPR, anytime you can get running backs that can catch 5, 6, 7 passes, that's just going to make their floor so much higher. I mean, it almost felt like Conner had a floor game last week, and he still scored. I think he scored 16.5 fantasy points last week. I like his chances of scoring 16.5 fantasy points or more this week. Just think the volume's going to be there. I think this is a really good game environment. With how much they involved Conner kind of early on in that game, you take away the fourth quarter when it was a blowout, Conner was basically like an every down running back. And assuming this game stays close and it's not a blowout, Conner probably will be an every down running back this week. And it looks like kind of rest of the season he's going to be a workhorse type back. So really like the volume we're getting from James Conner. I think that alone makes this a really intriguing play. I think he could definitely get there just from yards and receptions. He doesn't have to score a touchdown, but obviously he's always a bet to get into the end zone because he's going to be the guy they use near the goal line. He's a good receiver, so he could definitely catch a screen pass or something, take it to the house. A lot of ways for Conner to eclipse 16.5 fantasy points. So that's the third and final play that I like for today. It's going to be James Conner to go over 16.5 fantasy points. And these are 3 plays that I'm liking for the Week 2 NFL slate, guys. For the Sunday games, we'll definitely take a look at those Monday games. We do have 2 games on Monday night. I will have a separate video for that. For those 2 games, probably going up sometime on Sunday night. So if you're going to be betting on those Monday night games, definitely check out that video when I do upload it on Sunday night. But I wish you guys the best of luck this week. Hopefully this can be the week that we finally get a win. It's definitely not been the best start to the NFL season, and we've not started off the way that I would like, but I still feel good about these plays. Always feel good about the plays I give out in these videos, guys. Always feel like the research is there, the analysis is there. Just things haven't been going our way lately, but hopefully this is the week we can finally get right and right the ship. But good luck, guys. Thanks as always for watching the videos. Hit that like button if you guys have not yet. Hit that subscribe button if you are new here, and make sure to check out Prizepicks too. Lastly, real quick, sign up for Prizepicks if you have not yet. Use promo code NOAH when you do sign up. They will match your first deposit up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. Feel free to tell the picks I give out in this video. Feel free to make some other entries for yourself. Take a look at all the props that Prizepicks has available. They offer a ton of props in a ton of different categories. Passing yards, rushing yards, fantasy points, passing touchdowns. Like, you can take just about everything on Prizepicks. You can also mix and match sports. So if you like to dabble into other sports besides NFL, Prizepicks offers pretty much every sport imaginable. It's a ton of fun. Highly recommend you guys get over there. Sign up with promo code NOAH. get your first deposit matched up to $100. But that's all that I got for this video, guys. Best of luck this week. Hopefully we can cash out on all 3 of these plays, get a nice little clean sweep, because we definitely need it with how poorly NFL has gone to start the season. But I wish you guys best of luck. Thanks as always for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.